What if I told you that right now, the results from the largest vitamin study ever done for Parkinson's disease are being analyzed in Norway? They had 400 patients, 1 year of treatment, and the data could change everything we know about slowing this disease down. The results will be out in 2026, but today I'm breaking down everything we know so far. I know this sounds too good to be true, but when I first heard about this, I was so excited. One of my subscribers told me about it, and I started researching right away. Because if vitamin B could actually slow down Parkinson's disease, I think we all need to know more about it. So if you've watched any of my other videos, you know that my mom had Parkinson's for years. We heard about a lot of miracle supplements that didn't do anything, but this one is different. Right now, in Norway, researchers just completed a large clinical trial for B3, vitamin B3, and its effects on Parkinson's disease. So 400 patients, 12 different medical centers, a full year of treatment. This is serious science. And here's the thing. The trial just finished in June of 2025. The results aren't published yet, but they're expected within a year. So today, I want to tell you everything we know so far, why this matters, and what makes this different from every other supplement study that you've heard about. Okay, before we get into this, I need to make something very clear. I am not a doctor. I am a daughter who lost her mom to Parkinson's disease. I make these videos to help translate complex medical research into language we can all understand. Nothing I say in this video is medical advice. If you're thinking about trying any supplement or changing your treatment plan, you absolutely need to talk to your doctor or movement disorder specialist first. They know your specific situation, your medications, and what's safe for you. Okay? Okay. I also want to ask you to please subscribe to my channel so you won't miss any future Parkinson's information that I share, updates on this specific clinical trial, etc. First things first, what exactly is this study all about? It's called NOPARK. It just finished a phase 3 clinical trial. If you've watched my other videos, you know that phase 3 is the final major step before a treatment can be approved. This isn't early research anymore. This is the real deal. So here's what they did. The study enrolled 400 people with early stage Parkinson's disease from 12 different sites across Norway. All of these participants had been diagnosed within the last 2 years. So we're talking about people at the beginning of their Parkinson's journey, not the advanced stages. Half of the participants got 1,000 milligrams of vitamin B3, specifically a form called Nicotinamide Riboside, every day for 1 year. The other half got a placebo. Neither the patients nor the doctors knew who was getting what. That's what makes this a double-blind study. It's the current gold standard for research. Okay, so they measured participants at 5 different time points throughout the year, tracking their symptoms using something called the MDS-UPDRS scale. That's short for Movement Disorder Society's Unified Parkinson's Disease Rating Scale. Long name, but basically it's the most comprehensive way to measure Parkinson's symptoms, including motor symptoms like tremor and stiffness, and non-motor symptoms like sleep problems and mood. I have talked about this scale before, but it's basically a group of questions and observations that the doctor uses to come up with an approximate scale of the disease. It has high reliability for section 2 and 3, but there are limitations in its precision for the early stage Parkinson's disease patients, particularly for subtle differences and clinical changes. Anyway, they used this scale to rank those in the study. Drop a comment below if you've ever seen this before, or if you didn't even know this is how neurologists stage your disease. Did you know that this even existed? It's pretty intense. So take a look at it. Maybe take a screenshot so you can look at it later. But I found it quite interesting. Okay. Anyways, moving on. The study was led by Professor Charalampos Zulus at Haukeland University Hospital in Bergen, Norway, and it officially completed patient dosing in June of 2025. Now here is where we are right now. The data is currently being analyzed. The full results are expected to be published sometime in 2026. We don't know yet if it worked, but the fact that this study happened at all, and it's this large, is huge. Okay, so what is nicotinamide riboside? So I think it's important that we talk about what this vitamin actually is, because it's not just regular vitamin B3, not the B3 you would buy at the store. Nicotinamide riboside, or NR for short, is a specific form of B3. Your body can use it to make something called NAD, which stands for nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, maybe. Anyways, we're going to call that NAD from here on out. NAD is absolutely crucial for cellular energy production. Think of NAD like the battery that powers your cells. Without it, your cells can't function properly, and as we get older, our NAD levels naturally decline. In Parkinson's disease, there's even more stress on the cells, especially the dopamine-producing neurons in the brain, and they need a lot of energy to survive. So here's the theory. If you can boost NAD levels by giving people the NR, the nicotinamide riboside, maybe you can protect those brain cells from damage. Maybe you can slow down the loss of dopamine neurons. Maybe, just maybe, you can slow the progression of Parkinson's itself. Now, this just isn't a wild guess. There's science behind it. Have you heard about this trial before? Comment below. Anyways, back in 2022, the same Norwegian research team published results from a smaller pilot study called NADPARK. That was a phase 1 trial with just 30 patients, and they only took the supplement for 30 days. But what they found was really encouraging. The treatment was safe. It did increase NAD levels in the brain. Participants who had the higher NAD levels also showed changes in brain metabolism, and there were some mild improvements in symptoms, which is awesome. Now, that was a small study published in the journal Cell Metabolism, and it's what's led to NOPARK, the big phase 3 trial that we're talking about today. I want to be clear, the Norwegian team didn't stop with just that one pilot study. They've actually done multiple studies on the nicotinamide riboside, NR, for Parkinson's. So here's the trail of all the different clinical trials that they did. So number 1 is NADPARK. It was a phase 1 trial published in 2022 in Cell Metabolism. Like I said, it had 30 patients, 30 days, and it showed it was safe and increased the brain NAD levels. NR SAFE was another phase 1 trial published in the 2023 Nature Communications. This one tested higher doses, up to 3,000 milligrams per day, to see if it was still safe, and it was. And they saw improvements in motor symptoms on the UPDRS scale, that's that scale I was talking about earlier, by more than 10 points on average in the group taking the NR, compared to no change in the placebo group. Now, the researchers said that finding was preliminary and needed confirmation, but it was promising. So next we have ENDOS. This was a phase 2A trial. This was a dose-finding study. Results have not been published yet, but it helped determine the best dosage for the larger trial. NOPARK phase 3. This is the big one. 400 patients, 52 weeks, and it was just completed in June of 2025. The NOPARK extension study was also completed in June of 2025. This was an open-label study where everyone got the active treatment at 1,200 milligrams per day to test the long-term safety. So we're not just talking about one small study here. This is years of careful, methodical research building on itself. This is what makes it so credible. Here's something else really important. In July of 2025, a company called Niagen Bioscience secured exclusive worldwide rights to develop nicotinamide riboside, NR, as a pharmaceutical therapy for Parkinson's disease. They licensed the rights from Auckland University Hospital in Norway. So what does that mean? Well, it means that if the NOPARK results are positive, there's already a clear path forward to turn this into an actual FDA-approved treatment worldwide. It's not just going to sit on a shelf somewhere. There's a company with the resources and motivation to take it through the regulatory process. Now, I know some of you are thinking, this is just another supplement. I've heard about so many: CoQ10, curcumin, green tea extract. Why should I believe this is any different? Fair question, and honestly, most supplement studies for Parkinson's have been disappointing. Small trials, mixed results, no real follow-through. But NOPARK is different for several reasons. Number one, size and rigor. This is a 400-person phase 3 randomized double-blind placebo-controlled trial. That's the same standard used to test actual FDA-approved medications. This isn't some guy selling pills on the internet saying, hey, trust me, it works. This is serious clinical research. Number two, specific mechanism. We're not just guessing here. Researchers know exactly how Nicotinamide Riboside works. I keep forgetting to use the abbreviation, sorry. Anyways, it boosts NAD levels, which are essential for mitochondrial function. And mitochondrial dysfunction has been linked to Parkinson's for decades. There's a clear biological rationale. Okay, so number three, NR has been tested extensively, and it's what's called a GRAS rating from the FDA, which stands for Generally Recognized as Safe. So it's already sold as a dietary supplement in many countries. The studies so far haven't shown any serious safety issues, even at doses up to 3,000 milligrams per day. Number four is progression of science. This just didn't appear out of nowhere. It started with preclinical research in cells and animals, moved to small human safety studies, then to larger trials. That's how real science works. Number five, we've got commercial investment. The fact that Niagen Bioscience paid for exclusive rights to develop this as a pharmaceutical shows that serious, experienced people think the data is promising enough to invest in it. Now, does that guarantee it'll work? No, of course not. We still need to see all the results, but it's a very different situation from most supplement studies. So where do we go from here? Right now, the NOPARK researchers are analyzing the data. They're looking at the MDS-UPDRS scores. Did the people who took the NR have slower progression of their symptoms compared to people who took the placebo? Why does the data analysis process take so long? Well, there's a lot to be done during this stage. This is actually pretty normal for large clinical trials. After the last patient completes their final visit, the research team needs time to clean and verify all the data, unblind the study, which basically means reveal who got the drug versus the placebo. They run statistical analysis. They write the manuscript. They submit to peer-reviewed journal. They go through the peer review process, make any revisions, and then get the final publication approval. So all that needs to happen, and this can take up to a year, sometimes more. They're also looking at secondary outcomes, quality of life measures, DAT scans, which is brain imaging that shows dopamine neuron loss, blood biomarkers, cognitive function, and non-motor symptoms. The final results, like I said, are expected to be published sometime in 2026 in a peer-reviewed medical journal. That's when we will know if this really works. Now, here are the possible outcomes. Best case scenario, the vitamin significantly slows disease progression with minimal side effects. In that case, Niagen Bioscience will likely fast-track it through regulatory approval with the FDA and other agencies around the world. Because it already has a strong safety profile, that process could be much quicker than most drugs. The middle case scenario. It shows some benefit, but maybe modest benefit. Maybe it helps certain types of people more than others. In that case, more research would need to be figured out to see who benefits most and at what dose. The worst case scenario would be that it doesn't show a significant benefit compared to the placebo. In that case, it's the end of the road for this particular approach, at least at this dose in this patient population. We just don't know yet, and that's okay because that's how science works. But here's the thing, even if NOPARK doesn't show the results we're hoping for, this kind of research is very valuable. It teaches us more about Parkinson's disease, about NAD metabolism, about what works and what doesn't. And it paves the way for the next idea, the next trial, the next potential breakthrough. Okay, so the question you're probably wondering about right now is, should I be taking NR, Nicotinamide, Riboside right now? And here's my honest answer. Talk to your doctor. I am not a doctor. I can't tell you what to do. I can't tell you if it's safe. But I can give you the information so you can have an informed conversation with your medical team. Here's what we know. NR is available right now as a dietary supplement. It's sold under brand names like Niagen and True Niagen, and you can buy it online or in some stores. It has a good safety profile. Studies have tested dosage up to 3,000 milligrams per day for short periods without serious problems. But supplements are not regulated by the FDA the same way medications are. Quality can vary between brands, and just because something is safe doesn't mean it's effective. We just don't have proof that it works for Parkinson's disease. The NOPARK results will tell us that. The dose used in the NOPARK study was 1,000 milligrams per day. Things to consider if you're thinking about trying it. Talk to your movement disorder specialist first, or your neurologist if you don't have a movement disorder specialist. They need to know everything you're taking because supplements can interact with medications. If you do decide to try it, make sure to buy from a reputable brand that does third-party testing. Look for NSF International, USP, or Consumer Lab certification. Don't stop taking your prescribed Parkinson's medications. This is not a replacement for levodopa or other treatments. At best, it might be something you take alongside them. Set realistic expectations. Even if NOPARK shows positive results, we're talking about slowing progression, not reversing the disease or providing dramatic symptom relief. Monitor for side effects. In the study, some people experience mild gastrointestinal issues or, in rare cases, bradycardia, which is slow heart rate. Most people tolerated it well, but everyone's different. My personal take, if my mom were still here and in the early stages of Parkinson's disease, I'd probably have a serious conversation with her doctor about trying it, especially given the safety profile. But I'd also go in with realistic expectations and wouldn't see it as a miracle cure. And I definitely want to see the NOPARK results before making a final decision. Here's what I think is really exciting about this study. It's not just about the vitamin B3. First time in Parkinson's research, we're seeing serious attention paid to the idea that maybe we don't need a brand new expensive patented drug to make a difference. Maybe something that's been around for a while, a supplement that's already relatively affordable, has a good safety profile. Maybe it could slow the disease down. And if NR does work, it opens the door for combination therapies. Researchers are already talking about potentially using it alongside other emerging treatments like GLP-1 agonists. Those are the diabetes drugs that are also being studied for Parkinson's disease, or with drugs that target LRRK2 mutations, or with therapies that boost an enzyme called GCase. Now, the future of Parkinson's treatment probably isn't one magic bullet. It's probably going to be a combination of approaches that work together to protect brain cells, reduce inflammation, clear out toxic proteins, and support cellular energy production. I just did a huge video about that right before this one. Go back and watch it. I'll put a link in the description below. But it goes into all these different treatments that could be used in combination to combat Parkinson's disease, which is pretty exciting and hopeful. Now, when my mom was going through Parkinson's, I felt so helpless. There were no disease-modifying treatments, just medications to manage symptoms. Now, we're actually testing things that might slow the disease itself, and that's huge progress. So even if this particular study doesn't plan out the way we hope, the fact that it happened at all, that 400 people and dozens of researchers devoted a year of their lives to answering this question, that matters. All right, so let's wrap this up. The NOPARK study is in phase 3 clinical trial that just finished in June of 2025, testing whether vitamin B3, specifically nicotinamide riboside, can slow the progression of early Parkinson's disease. It involved 400 patients at 12 sites in Norway, and the results will be published sometime in 2026. If the results are positive, this could be a game changer, relatively safe, accessible treatment that actually modifies the disease course. If the results are negative or mixed, we still have learned valuable information that will inform future research. And in the meantime, if you're interested in trying nicotinamide riboside, please talk to your doctor first. Don't go rogue on supplements, especially if you're taking other medications. I'll be watching closely for those results, and I promise you, as soon as they're published, I'll make a follow-up video breaking down what they mean in plain English. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that. If you found this helpful, please give the video a thumbs up. I do these videos because this kind of information is exactly what I was looking for. And if it was available when my mom was going through this, I would have been so relieved. But my goal is to give you the facts without all the medical jargon so that you can make informed decisions. We're all in this together, and better days are coming. I really believe that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.